Alright, so I was just saying that like the interchangeability of words is what makes ambiguity artistic and valuable. I think we don't really stay engaged with our language throughout the process of communication. Throughout the process of our communication. Like it's only in the listening portion that we engage with language. If we engage with it on the output part, right? Then we're actually trying to put words together on purpose so that they can be interpreted a certain type of way. Like, people don't necessarily do that all the time. Some people just spew out the closest approximation to what it is that they're trying to say. You know what I mean? Like, the closest one. Not necessarily the best one. Not necessarily the most descriptive or, the most accurate per se, but definitely the closest approximation. And a lot of times approximation in and of itself is inherently kind of low resolution, so you kind of want to start thinking about things in the sense of crafting wordcraft, right? Like, that's actually part of, it's gonna sound weird, but it's part of witchcraft, right? Is wordcraft. Being very intentional with the way you use your words. In English, it may be more important to be this way than in other languages, or I should say maybe in like Indo-European languages, Indo-European languages. Whoa, hey. My pen?
I know you got it.
Oh, hold up.
Why are you smiling at?
I don't have it actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the bathroom.
Later.
Nice. Woof. So, well, definitely gonna try to go over this way. Trying to get up to speed. Get up to speed. Alright, cool. So, that was my lady. She was I guess, popped the tire or something. So she called her AAA. But the funny thing is, like, I had texted her before I left to get in the car and head to where I'm going. And she, what am I getting off on? 9, 10, 12, alright, cool. She, yeah, she told me before I got out here that she was on the freeway or whatever. She didn't want me to freak out. So here I am. I don't know, man, pulling a stunt for me. This would be a stunt for me because I'm going from what it was 60 down to 0. And before, I made sure to do it. And my brakes is wearing out, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, I had never been outside of my car on the freeway before. That was a little crazy. It's a little crazy. Because there was a couple of semis that went by. I think this might be one of them right here. That, man, when they went by, you could feel it in the ground, and you could the wind. Oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot to get passed up by an 18-wheeler. Yeah, 18. Maybe 16. I don't know. Shoot, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah. Word crafting, right? So so in certain cultures, I'm not gonna say this isn't about witchcraft or spinning spells or nothing like that. This is about intent, right? So if intent ultimately is what causes things to come to life, right? Our creative abilities being exercised through language to create our realities, then that's wordcraft, no matter how you put it. Now, if you are not using wordcraft, that means you're not speaking with intent, which means you don't really have nothing real good to say anyway. You just talking. Don't nobody want to hear about other people. If they want to hear about other people, they talk to the other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't understand why people gossip. I feel like it's kind of unnecessary. And it's harmful, honestly. It's more than unnecessary. It's harmful. It's a lot of people who end up getting hurt because the way that you craft your words is reckless. You're not really putting any intent behind it, but yet there's still this element of animosity or passive aggression or disdain or any of that stuff, that ends up making you look like you are essentially an asshole, when sometimes you're not an asshole, you're just being lazy. And some people are lazy assholes too. Like they only put effort towards being an asshole. Everything else they're lazy about. That's some people. But there's probably more people who are lazy and just lazy, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's right there. Yeah. Compton, baby. I just hope run up on me. Linwood, my bad. Linwood. I'm gonna see if they got turkey burgers. If they do, I'm gonna grab one. probably got this stuff too. But it looks like mainly they just got burgers and fries. It's a family restaurant. We'll see. Do they have an indoor? Oh, they do. Okay. Oh, shit. Yeah, that would have been smart. I'm gonna wait. I'm good. We're waiting. Is there like a limit on how long my video can go? I see it be stopping sometimes, but I don't know if it's stopping on purpose. Because there's like a 15-minute limit or something. I don't know. Maybe. Makes sense. I wish it would just start recording a new one, though. Ooh, that was almost an accident, too. Dang, man. Light flashed before my eyes. There's a Charger coming at me with a damn minivan hitting him in the back. Wowzers. Like an SUV or something. Alright, roll up in this piece and see what they popping. Popping burgers. What you got? Burgers, pancakes and eggs, chicken salad. Oh shit. Chili cheese fries. Yeah, I'm about to walk in. I'm supposed to be eating. Yep. Plus, probably could stand to eat. Alright, so. Okay. Let me wrap this up a little bit. So I think it's important that we make sure to craft our words. We got to make sure to craft our words, because once you start paying attention to what it is that you say, and you start realizing that what you say has intention behind it, and you utilize your intention to craft what it is that you say, your language is probably going to change a little bit. Because when you speak with intent, you kind of have to walk around the path that you need to go on in order to get to the communication that you're trying to get out of yourself, right? Like for instance, if you're trying to tell somebody that if somebody asks you a question and they say, hey, I didn't want to worry you, so I didn't tell you. I didn't know if it was going to be okay. Right? Maybe that's not a question, that's a statement. But if you respond to that and you say, well, tell me these things, please. Or if you say, you could tell me this. You could have told me that. There's a difference between an imperative of tell me please and an imperative of you could tell me that, because it's the second one is a little bit more passive, right? The second one kind of is asking you to be open to that, right? Or it's inviting that, as opposed to forcing it. You know what I mean? Where you say, do this thing now, please. Or without the please, especially without the please. But if you say without the please, then it becomes a little like backhanded too. You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit. I learned this today myself. And that's the reason why I'm saying it, because I think some people already know this, of course, but the people who don't know, you got to speak with intent, because I meant to say a certain thing, but I was lazy in not saying it the way that it needed to be said. What happened was I was going to use my Google like little microphone to speak out the text message. I started speaking it out before it started recording me. So the "you can tell me" got cut into "tell me." And then because I was already in the Google, the voice recorder thing, I just kept going because I'm driving, instead of going and saying, well, let me back that up and move the little cursor over to the thing where it says right before tell, and then erase the T because I don't need it to be capital, and then go back and say "you can" space lowercase t so that it's all one. That was a whole thing, right? That's what I do. I make sure my texts are on point. I try to, you know what I'm saying? Because I care about words. But the fact that I got lazy because I was driving and because I was not willing to, not willing to do what needed to be done, right? It might be good that I wasn't willing to, right? Like, safety first, of course, but you can say, like, you can, if you have everything hooked up, your phone hooked up to your Bluetooth in your car, if you have Bluetooth in your car, and you say, "Okay, Google," and then it'll blink in, and then you'll say, like, "Record a message," or send a text to such and such, right? And then the Google Assistant will actually get it there for you, right? So you can then start to speak it, and the text will go in, and then once you finish, it'll be like, "Is this everything?" And then you'll be like, "Yeah," and then it'll go through, right? So I don't know, man. Technology can make a person lazy, but it can also be a distraction from the important things, right? So because it was able to make my life a little bit easier, I got distracted from being intentional with my language. And so that's the problem. I don't think that there's anything wrong with technology as a whole. I'm actually a huge advocate of technology, of course. However, I will say that there are people in this world who have a predilection for letting technology help them be lazy, right? Don't be that person. Don't be that person that lets technology let you be lazy. Because if that's what if that's the only reason why you think that technology is bad, is because it'll make people lazy, then we have a bigger problem about why it is that it's okay for people to be made lazy by anything at all, right? Not just technology, but why would anything be able to make you lazy? Like, there's no good reason to be lazy, right? Not really, especially if you're trying to be intentional and creative. If you're trying to create the world that you want to live in, if you want to create the relationships that you want to have, you got to have this ability to, go for it and do it and create it and actually have real, agency, I think is the word I'm looking for. Agency. So, yeah. Have your own agency when it comes to using your language. That's a better way to say it, I guess. But being intentional is a result of having agency with what it is that you're saying, because you can't just subscribe to the way a thing is said all the time. Sometimes that's the best way to communicate. Other times, maybe a metaphor is okay. Maybe a metaphor is the best way to explain it because it's the best way to frame it into a person who doesn't have context. There's a lot of different reasons why you can use different types of language, poetic or otherwise, to communicate what it is you're saying, because that's the way language is supposed to work. Language works with the mind, and the mind has multiple dimensions to it. Multiple dimensions, right? There is an infinite number of dimensions in the mind. We just don't know how to think in a way that unlocks our ability to see these other dimensions. That's it. Like they give the example of an ant. If an ant only ever is walking on a two-dimensional surface whenever it goes wherever it goes, and that surface can change, then does the world revolve around them as far as they're concerned, and they're just kind of on a treadmill? Or what would happen if you make them fly? if they were floating in the middle of the air? What's their reality say if that's not something that they normally experience? That's just an example. Imagine that the ant can only ever be on the ground. Obviously, ants fall off of plants and stuff like that and get blown by wind. So of course, but for a person like us, right? For a person like us who can only think in maybe 4 dimensions, because you can see space and then you can see time, and that's it. But you can't see the other dimensions, right? You can't see choice. You can't see choice. You can make choice, but you can't see choice, right? So if you can't see choice, then that means you can't conceptualize choice. And so for you, making a choice seems really hard and like a high level of mathematics or something. There's a lot of calculation that goes into making choices for people, and that may be the thing that deters them from doing it. But it's okay to make those calculations, and it's in your best interest because you are the best one to make the calculations for your own life. You know what you want. You know how you can go about finding out how to get it, and therefore once you find out how to get it, you know how to get it. So there's no reason, you know what I'm saying? Self-actualization. Anyway, I gotta go. I'll holla at y'all.